Good evening, ladies, and welcome to the Chamber Talk Show. How are you ladies today?
Hi.
Wonderful.
Awesome. So many people ask about this show on Breakup Chronicles. Of course, this is part one, so we're excited to bring the men's point of view tonight. So they'll be joining us shortly. But before we even bring the fellows on to the show, let me ask you, ladies. Think about a time when you've kind of had a breakup and it impacted you somewhat mentally. How did you know it was time to end the relationship?
I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
I mean, anytime the bad outweighs the good, it's time to go. Like every single day is not going to be like flowers and roses. But when it gets to that point where I can tally up the bad more than the good, it's time for me to chuck the deuces. I'm just not that kind of person. I can't deal with bad energy, positive vibes. I just can't afford it. So I'd rather be comfortably single, not knowing nobody is cheating on me, than to be entangled with foolishness. I'm just saying.
All right, April.
What about you?
Well, for me, I think it's more of the mental health piece. When I start to second guess myself and have to question my own sanity in this thing, it's time for me to make decisions. I think it's more weighing that, okay, do I love myself more and leave this situation, or do I stay in this and potentially, just cause some mental havoc within my life? So that's what has been, my thing. Like, okay, is this causing me any more distress than it needs to be? Because love doesn't have to be hard. It shouldn't be anyway.
Gotcha.
Agreed.
For me, I think it's more of I like fun and I like spontaneity. I like hanging out. I like dating. So I feel like if I'm not doing those types of things, what's the purpose? Like we're not traveling, and it doesn't have to be to an exotic place, but I think in a relationship, you should be having fun. Like you should be friends. You're okay with telling this person anything and trusting them with it. So if that's not happening, then yes, deuces, it's time to go. Let's talk briefly though, ladies. Okay. And I know we've all had this, maybe not. I don't know. I know I have a relationship that you can look back and you really kind of did some things that were like a little silly, like maybe a drive-by or two or something. Let's talk about something humorous, because I think breakups, you can learn a lot. So a lot of times you have to look back and look on the positive side, and be more optimistic about it. Like this person was not meant for me, but I learned something. What do you say to that?
I mean, I can't remember who said the phrase, but there are no losses, only lessons. I think that's Nelson Mandela. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I mean, I haven't had a relationship, romantic relationship, friendship, because we outgrow people in all sectors, like professional relationships that haven't taught me something. They haven't taught me something about myself or taught me something about how I view and deal with the outside world. So I try to learn from whatever situation it might be. And I also try not to hold grudges. So on a personal note, so I'm a single mom. So I have a child by a man who chooses not to be involved, respect his decision, but I can't hold on to negative energy that I have towards him, because I wouldn't have one of the most precious things in my life had it not been for him.
Okay. I love that. I love that attitude.
For me, I think, I'm a firm believer in karma. So I haven't ever done anything crazy to get back at folks, stuff like that. I just walk away from the situation and I let karma take its course. So usually, you may not see them getting their karma, but you may hear about it at some point that maybe something happened in their life. Things haven't been on the up and up. They've been struggling in some way, form, or whatever. But I feel like sometimes you have to let the universe runs its course and get people back, and it can sometimes whoop them way much harsher than you could have ever thought of.
So do you ladies think a breakup weighs harder or heavier on a man or a woman?
I don't think it has anything to do with sex, whether it's men or women. I think it has to do with motives, like why people get into relationships, get out of relationships, and just growth as a person. Like there are mean, manipulative women, and just like there are mean and manipulative men. Like I don't think that's necessarily a woman or a man thing. I think it's a good person thing. Like I don't think good people intentionally want to hurt another person.
Yes. I absolutely agree. As a therapist for both men and female, and I do a lot of individual therapy with men, and I've learned a lot from them. They're just as hurt as we are. They have some women that have done a serious number on them. And, narcissistic relationships don't only exist with, women dealing with men. It's some men out there that can testify to women that they've been narcissistically abused from. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm glad you said that. So, because we have a couple of guys that are going to join us tonight, and I want to hear from them, their point of view. I know one of the guys, he's ready to talk. One of them said he didn't necessarily have any bad breakup in the past that he could think of, but he knows of some situations. But sensibly, let's hear from him. Let's hear from both of them and just kind of see where they are. So, I know not very long ago we joined teams with the Black Super Friends. So we do have Zay here, who's going to talk about it, as well as Mr. Whitfield. So let's hear from a male perspective, and let's just kind of see what the man has to say about the breakup. So Zay hasn't joined us yet, but Ty is here. So we're going to go ahead and talk to Ty and let him tell us from a male perspective what his breakup, how it felt mentally and emotionally.
Zay is here now.
Okay. All righty. Awesome. Okay. So we have both guys here. April, you want to bring them in? Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys. Welcome.
Hey. Welcome. Hey, Zay.
Thank you.
Zay, can you hear us? I'm not sure if Zay can hear us yet. Can you hear us? All right.
Zay, can you hear? Are you there?
I think
all right. I'll message
might be
him.
Asleep.
Would you say, Ty?
His screen may have frozen.
He might be asleep.
Hey, the breakup may have taken a toll on him. So
He's soaking.
yep, he is. So I'll message him. But while we have you, Ty, tell us a little bit about your past. I mean, you've been in quite a few relationships, and you said your breakups have not been terribly bad. Tell us about some of your experiences.
I mean, mine haven't been terribly bad. I think because I know y'all talking about mental health. I think it's on a person's response. And the doctor said earlier, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. It's your outtake on it. It's not a loss. It's a learning thing. So instead of being mad or disappointed that it didn't work out, what did I learn from that? What did I learn from this situation or who I was with? And I never keep grudges against anybody. I mean, life too short for that.
Okay, so tell us then. So, and we're not sure. We're not here to pry into your business. So I don't know if you're in a current relationship, but your past history. Did you learn something that you want to use going forward that you won't repeat in a past relationship? Because remember, a past relationship is because something didn't quite work out.
I mean, probably the main thing is let the person be that person. I use the thing all the time. I like to say, I'm not looking for a mama, and I don't think a lot of women are looking for daddies. When you meet somebody and you meet them for a reason, you like them for a reason. But when you get involved more and more, it seems like maybe your morals or the way you view life. You try to persuade that person to view it the same way instead of accepting them for who they are. So with me, I let that person be that person. If I can't handle who they are, I move around. I don't try to change that person.
Okay, Dr. KaNisha, because I'm guilty of trying to change people. So, and I'm going to come back and talk about that in
Yeah,
just
I
a
heard you
second.
earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, no, like that was one lesson that I think I had an advantage going into like romantic and personal relationships because I had a great relationship with my dad as well as I have an older brother. And that was one thing that he made very clear. Like, if you want a man, don't go looking for a boy to grow into a man. And don't try raising someone else's son. So, and that was like a repeated message he always told to me. And I know the type of woman that I am where, I don't necessarily prefer the term of alpha female, but I can't be with an insecure, immature male. Like, my partner needs to be my partner, and I don't want to change him. I don't want to raise him. I mean, I would hope that me being with someone that I would have a positive influence to make them want to be their best person, not a better person, but be their best version of themselves. Just like I want to be with someone who encourages me and nurtures me to be the best version of myself. But that doesn't mean that I want somebody to change me, and I'm not trying to change anyone. I'm definitely not trying to raise anyone except for my child.
Okay. What about you, Dr. April? What do you say to that?
Absolutely. I totally agree, but I think it's, we need to put things in perspective. When you're first meeting people, it's important to ask a lot of questions, to ask a whole lot of questions, to try to dig deep into, people's history, not, be their therapist, but just, kind of ask about, your upbringing, your family, do you have a good relationship with your mom? Is your dad in your life? All those things matter, and they can really tell you a lot about a person when you ask questions and really believe in what you see and not making excuses for this person's behavior. It's a lot of times we as women, when we get in these relationships, because he had childhood trauma and his mama died when he was 10, and this is why that's a bunch of bull. Stop making excuses for these people, for their upbringings. Now, that's valid that they do have that stuff, but people change when they want to. So you have to, see it for what it is. And then if there's something that you're not willing to be able to deal with long term, go ahead and let it go. Save yourself the heartache in the long run.
Right, Ty. I heard two words Dr. KaNisha said, mama's boy. Tyrone, are you a mama's boy?
Did I say mama's boy?
She didn't
Somebody
say that, did
said
she?
mama's boy. Are you a mama's boy? Do you think you're a mama's boy? And do you think that this had a bearing on your past relationship? I want to know from a male's perspective.
Well, I'm gonna answer the question because I don't like answering the question with a question. I love my mama very much, would do anything for her. But from what I've heard before, what a mama's boy is, I don't think I'm that. What is your definition of a mama's boy?
You run to her for every little thing. You tell her what's happening in your household, what's going on in your business. You're waiting on her to respond, to give you some advice about what you should do. Your mom comes before your significant other.
Gotcha. No, and that's actually a good question because I have like the most non-traditional mom there is. I couldn't really go to her for that because her thing was always, what are you doing for that lady? Or you treating that lady right? She would always put my girlfriends before anything because she's a woman and she looked at it that way. So she the one that really taught me. So I don't really run to her for stuff because she taught me when I was young.
Okay.
It's good.
But that wasn't me, by the way. I didn't say nothing about mama's boy. I said
I know that was
I
Dr.
am not
Mary.
here to raise someone else's son, is what I said. I don't have a problem, honestly, with a mama's boy. You can go back to
But I get
Especially
what you're
the
saying.
thing is, I think you should keep not just your mom, but everybody out of your business. And I will say that I'm guilty. When I get upset, or in the past I've gotten upset about something, and the first thing I do is get on the phone, call my mom. I have a huge family. Then she's gonna get on the phone, call this person, then that person, then that, and then it's
Then
just
the
this
sisters on the phone.
everybody knows what's going on. Then you've made up with that person, and they're still looking at this person like, really? So that's a valuable lesson for me. For a man, I just really feel like men shouldn't do that. I mean, I know sometimes women will do that. What about you, Dr. April? Have you dated any mama's boys?
I have dated a mama's boy. Oh my God. And their relationship ended, because it was, all about, like my mom. Like he would never, like holidays would come around. Like, I'm a type of person that, I like gifts. So, and it doesn't have to be expensive gifts. I just like, a flower, a plant, a card. You can go to the dollar store and get a card. So, Valentine's Day had rolled around, and, it's like, okay, you couldn't send me a flower. And so then when I addressed it, at the end of Valentine's Day, like, okay, I got a text, but I didn't get a flower, a card, or something. You know what? That brings me to, I should send my mama a plant. So you can send your mama a plant, but you can't give me a flower. So, like those things you have to recognize. Like, okay, what's really going on here?
Expectations brings disappointment.
What do you mean, Tyrone? Break it down for me.
I mean, when you start this, I've learned to just accept what somebody offers me. You know what I mean? And it's like when you start expecting somebody to do this, do that, be this way. I kind of like what Dr. Manning said earlier about I want a vacation, or we got to be doing this. If you're expecting it and it don't happen, you're disappointed. Instead of just taking it for who that person really is. You know what I'm saying? Taking it for what it's worth, and can you handle it or not? Is it enough for you?
And it wasn't enough, because
the only thing
Yeah.
I want to add to what Ty is saying is unrealistic expectations.
Right.
Breed disappointment. There needs to be some level of standards and expectation. I expect, if you are my man and I am your woman, you have my back. That is not unrealistic. And that's an expectation everybody better come to the table with. So it's not just expectations. People should live their life with some expectations. I wake up every morning with an expectation of a brand new grace and mercy. That is not unrealistic. It's unrealistic expectations that breed disappointment.
But especially if you have told that person, I can see if you haven't had a conversation.
Baby, that wasn't an expectation. You made a demand that was not met.
Right. You're right.
Yeah, but if you're telling them, it's not necessarily a demand, but they're asking you what your likes, what are things that you do, what do you want in a relationship, what would you like from them, and you're telling them some of the things you like, hey, when little things come around, maybe shoot a card or whatever. To me, it's always the thought that counts. If a person can't even go to the dollar store and get you a card to show that they have some level of thought about you, that says a lot right there about that person.
And I think that's a realistic expectation. You communicated your desires, and that's realistic, but they were not met, so they had to be dismissed. That wasn't realistic. That wasn't unrealistic. I think that's fair. I think that sometimes male or female people have unrealistic expectations that they can't even communicate. Like there's an entire conversation going on in his head where we're out. I'll give you an example. The same example you use, where a person might observe what their partner is doing for their parents and be like, okay, you run over there every time she holler, ow, ow. But I'm sitting here, I didn't work 12 hours and I can't get you to rub my feet. This is the conversation going on in my head. If you can't communicate those things, but it sounds like you did communicate. If you can't communicate those things, that's when you get into the realm of unrealistic expectations of someone to read your mind. But in general, like if you can communicate your desires and what you want from your partner and they can't reciprocate, then Houston, we have a problem. But let me also just add this, because I meant to say this earlier. I have been guilty of falling in love with potential in people. And not that I necessarily want to change them. Simple example of this is like, at one point in my life, I was very much so overweight. I worked really, really hard to lose weight. And I met a guy who was working out, but not like, I mean, like I was on my schedule. I was eating right. I was working out. And I met someone at the gym. And I saw potential there, like, oh, we're going to work out together. And we're going to, live this beautiful, healthy lifestyle. But just because I met him at the gym and I saw potential there, I didn't realize that his goal or his drive for physical fitness and to live the healthy lifestyle was nowhere near mine. But I really fell for that possibility of having a partner who had the same goals that I had. And I think the same thing also happened when I was in college. I thought, because I was in college on this path for success in education, that the other person, like, who's in college just to be playing around? I thought this other person who was in college as well had similar goals and paths, and it never aligned. So I had to stop and realize, like, I'm repeating bad habits of falling in love with the potential of situations and the potential of people.
Awesome. Zay, welcome back. Can you hear us? I'm not sure if Zay can hear us.
He froze again.
I'm not sure if he's frozen, but I think he's having issues hearing us. I told him to go in with Chrome. He's typing to me now. So having said that, yeah, he said he clicked on the latest link. Sorry for the tech issues. I really, really wanted to hear Zay's story. We may have to bring him back when we go to part 2 and allow him to again tell his story, because we definitely want to hear what he has to say. I want to jump on something real quick. Maybe we can get him in audio wise shortly, but I wanted to jump to something. We know that, of course, we're talking about mental health. We're talking about breakups. It comes with a certain amount of sadness at times, depending upon the type of relationship, maybe how long, the attachment. Because again, remember, even when you go through a divorce, sometimes it's kind of like a death. That person is still alive. You don't see them anymore, but they are still alive. So it goes with maybe some very strenuous time. So speak to that real quick, Tyrone, if you remember going through a time when you had some emotional
you mean like sadness?
Yes.
Well, no, I'm not really sad, because I'm so busy. Once something ends, my mind shifts, and it's like, really, I hate to say it, it might be a little elation because I may have more time on my hands all of a sudden, where some things that I may have wanted to pursue that I paused for that person. I'm freed up now to go ahead, go full steam ahead. So I mean, me, man, I'm a real jolly person. Don't too much hit me too hard to make me sad.
Yeah, you're always chipper and upbeat and happy. All right, ladies, what about you? Dr. April?
Well, okay, so what's the question?
The question was about emotions, the emotions that we experience when we, sometimes have a part ways with someone.
Well, definitely it can have it, on your mental health when you get out of a relationship. I think the theme has been for probably the past 2 weeks is a lot of people have been dating narcissists. I've dated one before in the past, and, it's a lot of people coming to therapy for that. And that's like, it's really hard to get over someone like that, because they love bomb you so much. And then when you're hooked, it's hard to let that person go. So that can take, months and even, sometimes years to be able to get over that type of heartbreak and to try to reset. So I guess my advice for people who are going through that right now is to turn back inward and start focusing on you, self-reflect, get busy doing things that you enjoy, figure out what really makes you happy, and, think about what you learned about yourself from being in this type of relationship. A lot of times it's vulnerability, is lack of self-love, when you are caught up in that. So turn inward and just start focusing on you and practice more self-love.
I love it. Dr. KaNisha?
I don't get sad. Like, I'm kind of with Tyrone. I've done happy dances.
Right.
Relationships. I like one in particular, speaking like the one time I did date a mama's boy, and I like my mom even loves to tell this story. Like, I purposefully like treated him some type of way to make him break up with me, because in my mind I felt like if I broke up with him, he was one of those people like it would never be over. So I somewhat manipulated the situation for him to break up with me. And I remember when he finally called and was like, "This is not going to work. I'm sorry. I think we just need to go out." I said, "You think?" I said, "I want you to be sure. Be sure, okay? Be sure." He was like, I'm sure. I'm sure. This is over." I was like, "Okay." And as soon as he walked out my door, hot girl summer loading.
The Beyonce, he on his way.
I'm trying to remember. Like, I don't remember any relationship that ended where I was depressed or sad. It's usually like relief, bordering on pure elation.
Got it. Zay, can you hear us? We want to hear from
someone mute their phone, or because I hear the background, we can hear the video playing in the background.
Okay. All right. So I told Zay I've been communicating with him, and I told him we're going to have to bring him back for part 2, because we definitely want to hear what he has to say about his past breakups and situationships and situations. So we haven't been able to hear him. I know he can hear us, but we haven't been able to hear him. But we appreciate you joining us, Tyrone. I know that it takes a lot sometimes to come out and just kind of talk about personal situations and personal issues.
Yeah,
but
I've enjoyed myself. I know. I thought it was gonna be I know it's gonna be a session or not.
No.
Yeah. Can I ask one question of Tyrone before we leave?
Yes, Zay, we're bringing you back. Go ahead, Dr. KaNisha.
Okay, I'm not one for generalizations, but as a man, talking to your female colleagues, as a man, if there was one sound piece of advice that you could give to single women or women dating on how they communicate or how they involve themselves with men, what piece of advice would that be?
I would say, I always remember, from my point of view, the men are very simple-minded. Well, I'm very simple-minded, and I don't maybe think as far as a woman may think. So the communication, even if it's something little where you might in your head be like, he should know that. Don't assume that he should know. Communicate that, even the simplest of thing, and if he takes it the wrong way, oh well, that he might have a little insecurities, but communicate the small, the simplest of things. Because a lot of times, we're not thinking on that same level. You know what I'm saying? We just going about our day and happy to be here, happy to say we got a woman.
I love it. Happy to say you got a woman. Communication, I heard you say, is the key. Before we go to Dr. April and the affirmation, I heard Dr. April say, get busy, look inward. You guys know I'm always busy, which I need to get somewhere and sit down. But I'm working out, I'm moving around, I'm cooking. I love to cook, I love to eat. I just got back from Costa Rica, so I was in the kitchen a lot with the chef, taking all these pictures, and they were like, get somewhere and sit down. So that's true. Look inward, stay busy. Whenever you're going through a breakup or a situation, talk to friends, get a therapist, go running, go walking, go bowling, but surround yourself with some positive people. I appreciate you guys. Zay, we're going to come back to you on the part 2 of Breakup Chronicles and bring you back to the show. Tyrone, we want to thank you for joining us. We want to thank you guys for joining us as well.
Can I be on part 2?
Oh, you like us like that. You like All right. So Dr. April, we're going to close on an affirmation, and then we'll go ahead and close the show.
So the positive affirmation today for you guys is, repeat after me. I am manifesting the love that I want in my life.
That's powerful. I am
Manifesting
manifesting the love that I
want
want
in my life.
in my life. Amen.
Go get it. Go get it.
Right? Speak it. You gotta speak it. Put it out there.
All right. All right. Thank you, Zay. Sorry we didn't get to hear from you tonight. Next time. Thank you, Tyrone, for joining us. Thank you,
Thanks for
Dr.
having
April.
me.
Thank you, Dr. KaNisha. And you guys, actually, Memorial Day weekend is coming up. You guys, we're going to re-air the show on Sunday. So you guys have a great night and you have a great and safe Memorial Day weekend. Thank you for joining us.
Peace.
Bye.